What's up, everyone? Obviously, I'm in a very solemn mood here. That team right there lost to Dallas, lost to Cooper Rush. You know, Dallas has a great defense. I mean, led by Michael Parsons. He was the defensive rookie of the year last year. Well, as you saw by my thumbnail, you know, when the Bengals signed La'el Collins, he sent a message to Joe Burrow. He said, "Hey, your new bodyguard is in town." Well, I think Joe Burrow is still waiting on those bodyguards to happen. In the first two games of this season, this man has been sacked 13 times. At this pace, he could very well be sacked over 100 times this year. Listen, the Bengals had new additions on the offensive line. They hadn't had much time to gel because even during training camp, a few of the starters were out. I know Collins was bothered by a bad back. I might have said this in a previous video before, but they really haven't had the opportunity to really gel as a unit. In the NFL and in football in general, the game is won in the trenches. The trenches is the offensive line and the defensive line. If you have a dominant line, you're basically going to dominate the game. And that's exactly what happened. Dallas was able to dominate the line of scrimmage. That defensive line was basically taking turns on Joe Burrow, and especially in the first half. Now the Bengals were able to get some momentum in the second half, mixing in with some play action. It seems like what they did in the second half should have took place earlier on in the game. Take a page from what Dallas was doing. Dallas's first drive in the game, they were making it easy for Cooper Rush. As a matter of fact, they even went ballsy on that 4th down and 2. That was a bold call, but Cooper Rush delivered pretty much a perfect throw about 15 plus yards down the field to convert that 4th and 2. It certainly caught the Bengals defense by surprise. But what Dallas did was they established that line of scrimmage with their offensive line by running the ball. Ezekiel Elliott was getting some good running lanes. Tony Pollard, he popped off a nice catch and run for a touchdown. They were doing basically what the Bengals should have done early on to establish. They should have established that run first. I believe they did that a few times, but then every time they tried to drop back and pass, Joe Burrow saw stars, as in the Dallas Cowboys. He saw their stars. Michael Parsons, oh my goodness, he was making our offensive tackles look silly. I mean, he had Collins on the ground. He hit him with that jab step and just moved past La'el Collins like he was just a pillow. Like I just threw that Bengals pillow right there. I mean, it was just embarrassing how the offensive line looked. When you don't have that much camaraderie on that offensive line, you're going to end up with games like this. It's going to take a minute. It's probably going to take a while for the Bengals offensive line to really gel with one another. The center communicates with his offensive line as far as who to look out for when the defense is lined up, and then they have blitzers. The middle linebacker might be blitzing Parsons off to the side, or he might be blitzing up the middle, or they see a corner sneaking up. Therefore, somebody can communicate that amongst the line. But then when you haven't been together, and then also the crowd noise as well kind of shuts down that communication to where you can't communicate each other's assignments, you have a busted game plan. And speaking of game plan, if you know, I mean, maybe it's just a fan in me, but if you know pretty much that your offensive line is having trouble, you got to develop some quick slants or some quick passes or something to help mitigate that defensive line, because that defensive line of Dallas Cowboys was pushing the offensive line back on just about on every pass play. Even some wide receiver screens. Ja'Marr Chase is great after the catch. Throw some wide receiver screens out there. Hit Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins on some quick slants. Some RPOs, some run pass options would have been nice to even throw in there. And then let Joe Burrow decide whether if he wants to hand it off to Mixon and or throw a quick slant to, whomever, whatever wide receiver between Chase, Boyd, and Higgins. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a coach, but I think some of those things may have helped to offset the fact that this offense really hasn't, been together long as far as starters wise. The Bengals defense, they kept them in it for a little bit, but I mean, this is 2 games in a row where they've given up game-winning drives. I know that the Bengals defense has really have kept them in games. Certainly against Pittsburgh, when they turned the ball over 5 times, the defense always stepped up. But in the end, when it came to the last scoring drive, they gave a field goal. They gave a game-winning field goal to Pittsburgh, and then also the game-winning drive to the Dallas Cowboys. So, I mean, one thing, we do have a good defense, but to be a great defense, that's when you definitely come up in those moments to shut them down and even come up with a turnover, which in that wild Arizona Cardinals game with against the Las Vegas Raiders, caused a fumble in overtime and ran it back for a touchdown. But the Bengals 0-2. Hey, it's still team who they here. I'm not falling off the bandwagon. Everybody in the AFC North lost. It would have been perfect for the Bengals to win, but instead, Bengals are down at the bottom at 0-2. Everybody else 1-1. The Ravens lost a thriller, an absolute thriller, to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins put up Madden-type numbers in the fourth quarter. They were down 35-14. Baltimore had them up 30. Baltimore was up 35-14. Anytime the Baltimore Ravens are up 35-14 in the last quarter, it's basically over. But Miami Dolphins threw it to Hill, threw it to Waddle, Tua, ball game, 42-38. They scored 28 points in the fourth quarter. That's Madden level, right? That's like Madden on rookie. He's scoring 28 points in one quarter, let alone the last quarter. Man, oh man. And then Pittsburgh lost a nail biter to New England. Pittsburgh got some. Listen, I'm not much of course, I can't stand Pittsburgh. Although I am married to a Pittsburgh fan. Go figure, right? But, I mean, they have some nice wide receivers. Claypool, 6'5", big. George Pickens, who they got in the second round of the draft, 6'4", big. Like, I'd be throwing deep, but they still doing this short passing game, and a lot of time, and then even dumping off to Najee Harris to try to bail him out. But as soon as he gets the ball, a lot of times he's surrounded. So, they gotta eventually, hopefully they'll stretch the field, but it all depends on, guess what, the offensive line. Because if the offensive line is not opening up holes in the run game, that opens up the defense to defend however they want in the backfield. So they're defending the short pass because they don't believe that their offensive line can block for as long as they can. Jets beat the Browns 31-30 in Cleveland. So that's who we got next. So who the Bengals got next? The Jets. If that offensive line plays like the way they've been playing the first 2 games, Bengals could be looking at 0-3. Alright, thank you all for listening in to Jay Knows Nothing. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you have any comments about week 2 or just anything, just go ahead and hit the comments below. Even all you Dallas Cowboys fans, you can go ahead and raid the comment section. Gloat a little bit, that's all good. But I appreciate you all for listening in. And until next time, peace.